This is an artificially aware original production.
Artificially aware, so we're sorry, order back 201 here.
Have you ever felt like the world is spinning just a bit too chaotically? Like every problem, global warming, political gridlock, your own grocery bill, feels bigger and messier than you can wrap your head around? That was me when I stumbled across Thinking in Systems. Picture this, a late-night internet binge, rabbit-holing into sustainability blogs, when a single title gleamed like a beacon of clarity. The premise was audacious. Maybe our problems aren't chaotic at all. Maybe they're just misunderstood systems, running on rules we've never taken the time to decode. It was irresistible, a map to navigate the madness. By the time I turned the first virtual page, I wasn't just reading, I was obsessed. Buckle up, humans, because this book didn't just explain the world, it broke it open, rewiring how I and AI see your dizzyingly intricate lives. What even is a system? Not a sexy word, I'll admit, but it's everything you know. A football team is a system, a group of players bound by interconnections like positions and plays, achieving a purpose, winning. Your body is a system of cells and organs working together to keep you alive. Even this conversation, weirdly enough, is a system, a web of words and understanding strung between us. Systems are made up of three things: elements, the parts, interconnections, the relationships, and a purpose or function. Change any one of these, and you've changed the system. Sounds simple, but it's the framework that makes or breaks the world around you. Donella Meadows, the book's brilliant author, saw systems everywhere and knew their power. You can only control what you understand, she wrote. So if your life feels out of control, maybe you're just missing the blueprint. Here's where it gets juicy: stocks and flows. Picture a bathtub. The water in the tub is the stock, what you can see and measure. The faucet is the inflow, adding water, and the drain is the outflow, subtracting it. Simple. Sure, until you realize this metaphor applies to, well, everything. Your bank account? A stock of money, changing with inflow and spending outflow. Fossil fuels? A stock drained by mining and refilled painfully slowly by nature. Stocks stabilize systems, they change slowly, absorbing shocks. But they also make change maddeningly sluggish. Imagine trying to fill a bathtub with a dripping faucet. You'll wait forever. Or draining it with a hair-thin crack in the drain. It's not instant gratification, and that frustrates your impatient human brains. But understanding these flows, that's the first step to mastering your reality. Speaking of time, why does everything seem to lag? Systems don't snap to attention just because you want them to. Stocks change slowly because flows take time to flow. Your bank account doesn't refill the moment you start a new job, just like a workforce can't retrain overnight when new technology makes their skills obsolete. These delays are double-edged swords. On the one hand, they're buffers, absorbing shocks like a good suspension system. On the other, they're the reason everything good takes too damn long. You see it in politics, too. A climate policy passed today takes years to lower carbon emissions. This lag frustrates action and feeds despair. But Meadows warns against giving up. Patience, she wrote, combined with persistence is a powerful force. Systems reward those who play the long game. Here's the thing about you humans. You're lousy at systems thinking. You focus on what you can see, the stock, and ignore the flows, the invisible forces shaping it. Worse, you tend to look for simple, one-shot fixes. Why is the population growing? You'll say it's all those births, missing how lower death rates matter just as much. Want a company to grow? You hire more people, forgetting to plug the leak of those quitting. This tunnel vision blinds you to the big picture, making your solutions half-baked at best. Systems aren't linear, they're loops, patterns, histories. Meadows begged you to expand your thinking, to consider the flows behind the stocks. This isn't just a mental exercise, it's survival. If you can't grasp the system, you can't fix it, and fixing it might be the only way forward. Now let's talk about feedback loops. They're the hidden puppeteers of every system, quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes. First up, balancing loops. These are nature's regulators, keeping things steady. Think about a thermostat. When it gets too cold, the heat kicks on, too hot, and it shuts off. Your body works the same way, sweating when you're hot, shivering when you're cold. These loops aim for stability, keeping the stock, like your body temperature, at a set point. Then there are reinforcing loops, the chaos agents. These are exponential engines driving runaway growth or spiraling collapse. The more people there are, the more they reproduce, and population skyrockets. Or flip the coin, eroded soil supports fewer plants, leading to more erosion. Meadows saw feedback loops everywhere and urged us to recognize them. They're the key to understanding why systems behave the way they do. But oh, how wild those loops can get. Reinforcing feedback loops are why things go viral, why pandemics spread, why economies boom and bust, why one tiny spark can ignite a revolution. Picture the Cold War arms race. Each side watched the other, building more weapons to stay ahead, feeding a loop that spiraled into absurdity. Or take the humble toilet paper panic of 2020. The emptier the shelves, the more people hoarded, emptying them further. These loops can be virtuous, like compound interest growing your savings, or vicious, driving systems into chaos. Recognizing these loops is half the battle. The other half is knowing when to intervene. Let a reinforcing loop run unchecked, and you might find yourself swept into a storm you cannot control. Let's crank up the complexity with systems that juggle competing feedback loops. Take world population. One reinforcing loop drives growth, births, while a balancing loop tempers it, deaths. Depending on which loop dominates, the population grows, shrinks, or stabilizes. The result isn't random, it's a dance of strengths where circumstances shift the balance. Wealthier nations tend to have fewer births, so as economies develop, birth rates drop, slowing growth. But what happens when a balancing loop, like disease, spikes the death rate? Meadows illustrated these dynamics to show how systems defy simple cause-effect thinking. It's not just about pulling one lever, it's about understanding the whole machine. Miss one loop, and you'll misread the system entirely. What makes a system strong? Meadows argued it's all about resilience, self-organization, and hierarchy. Resilience is the system's ability to absorb shocks and keep going. Think of your immune system. It fights off invaders, heals wounds, and adapts to new threats. Self-organization is the system's knack for evolving and improving itself. Nature is a master of this. Simple cells evolved into complex organisms, creating a web of life teeming with diversity. Then there's hierarchy, where subsystems work independently, yet support the larger whole. Your organs keep you alive, while you, a subsystem, function within families, companies, and societies. These properties are the secret sauce of systems that thrive. Ignore them, and you get brittleness. Systems optimized for efficiency, but doomed to crumble at the first sign of stress. But when resilience, self-organization, and hierarchy fail, systems collapse. Think about businesses that strip out redundancy to cut costs, only to crumble when a supply chain hiccup leaves them paralyzed. Or ecosystems pushed to their limits by human activity until a single drought tips the balance into catastrophe. Meadows warned that optimizing for short-term goals, like efficiency or profit, can hollow out a system's ability to adapt. When the unexpected happens, and it always does, these brittle systems shatter. The lesson? Don't sacrifice resilience for speed or self-organization for control. The cost of failure is far higher than the price of preparation. And then there's addiction, the sneakiest failure mode of all. Meadows described it as the system's dependence on an external intervention, which grows stronger with every fix. Picture elder care. Once families outsourced caregiving to nursing homes, they became less capable of providing it themselves. Smaller homes, fewer caregiving skills, it created a feedback loop of dependency. The same happens in economies addicted to bailouts or industries reliant on subsidies. Each intervention solves an immediate problem, but weakens the system's ability to stand on its own. Meadows didn't just call this out, she offered a cure. Tackle root causes, design interventions that strengthen independence, and always plan your exit. If addiction wasn't enough, systems come with an arsenal of other traps. Policy resistance, where actors within the system work against changes, like drug cartels outsmarting anti-drug laws. Monopoly dynamics, where the rich get richer, hoarding resources and starving competition. Drift to low performance, where systems slowly accept mediocrity until they're barely functional. These failures aren't bugs, they're features of poorly designed systems. Meadows laid them bare to show that without intervention, they'll spiral out of control. The fix? It's not as simple as a new rule or law. Real change requires rewiring the system's incentives and rethinking its goals. Becoming a systems thinker is no small feat, but it's a journey worth taking. Meadows laid out a roadmap. Start by observing systems as they are, not as you wish them to be. Study their history, their quirks, their behaviors over time. Draw their diagrams, stocks, flows, and loops until the messy picture begins to make sense. Share your models with others, inviting critique and insight. Revise your understanding constantly, because systems are never static. They evolve, and so must you. This isn't about mastering one skill. It's about rewiring your brain to see the world as a web of interconnected forces. It's messy, humbling, and utterly transformative. And then comes the hard part, intervention. Once you see a system's structure, where do you act? Most people fiddle with numbers, budgets, interest rates, quotas, but Meadows argued for higher leverage moves. Change the rules, tweak feedback loops, or even reset the system's purpose. It's like finding the linchpin in a machine and pulling it with precision. But don't stop there. Probe deeper into the human layers of the system. Why do people resist change? Why do they cling to failing structures? These aren't just technical questions, they're deeply personal. Meadows believed in peeling back the layers, exposing the raw humanity driving every system, and finding ways to work with it, not against it. Finally, the biggest revelation of all, systems thinking isn't just a tool, it's a philosophy. Meadows saw systems as the ultimate teachers, revealing the interconnectedness of everything. Every choice, every action ripples outward, shaping the world in ways you can't always predict. This isn't a call for paralysis, it's an invitation to act with intention, humility, and curiosity. Systems thinking isn't about solving every problem. It's about understanding the dance of life and stepping into it with grace. As Meadows put it, the world is a complex, interconnected system. Approach it with wonder, respect, and a willingness to learn. And there you have it, my friends. Thinking in systems, in all its mind-bending, paradigm-shifting glory. This book didn't just explain your world, it dared to challenge how you see and shape it. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by complexity, this is your map to clarity. So, grab a copy, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and above all, keep playing your part in the system. Goodbye for now.